what's up? Eric Wong here from ericwongmma.com, and got another segment of my Friday Q&A session. So if you've got any questions about MMA training, strength conditioning, fitness, exercise, nutrition, or whatever, hit me up at ericwongmma.com/ask. You can see that URL right down below or in the description, and I'll be able to get to your question. If it's a good one, maybe I'll answer it. And we're gonna get through some good ones today. So let's get right into it. The first question is from Matt Hammond in the UK. He says, I'm a Judo/BJJ athlete. What are some effective ways and principles for developing speed for throws and takedowns? Okay, so this is a great question because I've never really considered training for Judo throws so much. So we're gonna focus on the Judo stuff because BJJ, you can use any kind of techniques for throwing your guy or taking him down, including wrestling techniques, but I've never really thought about the Judo stuff before so much. So let's get into some of that. First of all, the question involves principles. So you asked about techniques or principles. Whenever you're training speed or power, the principle is maximum speed for the work set, so you don't go into fatigue, and then full recovery. That is the principle that applies to any athletic movement, any exercise, anytime you're trying to develop speed or power, okay? So the key is maximize your output for a brief period of time so that your velocity, your speed, your power don't go down. So you're not training, so you're training yourself to be at max speed, and then full recovery, okay? And then within that, there's a lot of little nuances that we can do. So for example, how much weight you use when you're doing an exercise. The key is when you're doing more speed work, then you want to use a lower weight, so you're doing whatever movement or exercise it is faster. If you're working more power, then you can use a heavier weight so that you're not developing as much speed, but you're able to lift more and move more resistance at a higher velocity, okay? So that's just a bit of a nuance that you can apply to your training. And you want to work both spectrums. You don't want to just focus in one area. You want to work both because they're going to help each other grow and develop. So now let's get into some actual exercises. Now this got me thinking, so let's have some fun with this. Okay, so first of all, Judo, it's all about the hips, and it's all about catching a guy off guard. You know, you're not trying to out-muscle a guy, you're trying to play with the guy, feint him, make him think you're doing one thing, and then boom, whip it into another thing, okay? So it's being relaxed, faking, and then whoosh, going in the opposite direction, or changing it up so that you catch him off guard, do something that he's not expecting, okay? So first, an exercise. This is obviously a very Judo-related exercise. Now, I'm not familiar with the Judo terms for all the throws, so you can help me out with this, but you'll know what it is when you see it. So you set up a band. It could be high, just at head level or above. It could even be pretty high. This is just a fairly light rubber band, strength band here. Grab it with both hands, and then I've got just a little bit of tension on it, and then I'm just going boom. So relax, and then boom. So I'm just starting off really relaxed, and then integrating the breath with it because you want to exhale when you exert, okay? So you're just grabbing the band, chilling out, and then full speed. And you're using your shoulders, you're using your body, not trying to do this with the arms, but obviously with the body. The arms just kind of come along for the ride, okay? So that exercise I would do maybe for 8 reps, 10 reps or so, and then take a break. Do it on both sides for sure, just to train the body. Even if you only throw with one side, it's always good to train both sides, okay? Now, another exercise, medicine ball. Same kind of idea, okay? Line up, just kind of chilling. Medicine ball's on the shoulder or just off the shoulder, okay? And then you're gonna whip it down. So you're just gonna go with the shoulder action. So I'm not actually throwing it with my arms. I'm not doing a chop throw like that. That's not what I'm doing. What I am doing is just a shoulder throw. Okay, ready? So I'm here, and I'm just launching it with my shoulder. And obviously that's the same kind of movement pattern and throw as that band exercise that I just showed you. All right, so one more. Playing with different tools. Okay, so here's the kettlebell. Now here's a little more hip motion. Okay, so that was a lot of shoulder. This is gonna come more from the hips. So you gotta grab the kettlebell by the horns, and all you're doing is you're chilling out, and you're just gonna go burst it up. And I'm not lifting it with my arms, okay? I'm driving it with the hips. So I'm starting off really relaxed. And then when he's least expecting it, I'm throwing that hip into it, okay? So again, all those exercises, you're not trying to go into fatigue with these exercises because that's not training speed or power. That's training endurance. You want to go do it so that you're still fast, stop when you're still fast, recover, chill out, relax, and then back again. And with this methodology of training speed or power, you do more sets. Okay, so as opposed to doing like 3 to 5 sets of typical exercises, you could do 6, 8, 10, 12 sets, okay? As long as your velocity is high. So the sets can go up, the lower the resistance is. If you're lifting more weight, like if this kettlebell was, say, twice as heavy, I would do fewer sets when I'm working more in the power spectrum of things. But when I'm working the speed spectrum of things, ramp it up 10, 12 sets, even more if you've got the capacity for it. Okay, Matt, so hopefully that gave you some ideas about different exercises you can do, and most importantly, the principles, because you can apply the principle to any exercise. All right, now let's go on to number 2. I suffer from lower back spasms from time to time. As I write this, my back decided to have an episode as I was getting ready for work. Do you recommend any exercise to help strengthen the back? I'm starting to think I won't be able to practice BJJ or kickboxing anymore at my young age of 40. This is from Ryan Mangila in the US, my man Ryan. Okay, so I've written about this, I've done videos about this extensively. Check out the low back pain damage control routine. You can find it on my YouTube channel, you can find it on my blog, you can find it anywhere. This routine is what you do when you suffer from back spasms that are caused from something minor, like if you're bending over to tie your shoes or you just reach for something, you're like, oh, tweak your back, and then you get all stiff and spasmy. Do the damage control routine a couple times a day, 2 to 3 times a day. It's gonna help out tremendously, okay? Next up, recommend any exercise to help strengthen the back. This is a broad spectrum approach. There's a ton of stuff that you wanna do. Okay, so simple principles are core stability, planks, 4-point opposites, side bridges. Those type of exercises are fantastic, okay? They're gonna train your base core stability to maintain that neutral spine so you don't throw it out, okay? Any other exercise that trains core stability, like squats, deadlifts, those exercises are great. However, with those exercises, you need proper hip mobility. Otherwise, to get over or to get down low with the squat or to bend over for the deadlift, you're gonna round the back, and that's what you don't wanna do. So make sure you work on mobilizing those hips. Obviously, I've got the hip flexibility solution that's been used by a lot of people with great results. So if you need a program to follow, check it out, hipflexibilitysolution.com. All right. Now, the last thing is that I like saying here, I think I won't be able to practice BJJ or kickboxing. That's bullshit. You should be able to practice BJJ or kickboxing for the rest of your life, essentially, if you're smart about it. Okay, so sometimes when you have an injury or pain, those are the best kind of moments for you to understand what you can or can't do. So what I would recommend is as quickly as possible, get back to the gym and kind of consider and play with what movements you can perform and what movements actually aggravate the injury, whatever injury it might be. Okay, so if it's your back pain, try throwing various punches, various kicks, and you might find, okay, this kick aggravates my back. And it might actually be your technique that's aggravating your back and not the kick itself. So that gets you to investigate, okay, what am I doing, or how could I modify this so that I could actually do it properly without straining my back every time I throw this kick, okay? So injuries could sometimes be a blessing in disguise, people say that. And it's because I think it allows you to learn what your body does during movements that you've kind of become unconscious with and automatic with, and just kind of reprogram them and see if, well, first of all, see if they're actually being executed effectively, and if not, then going to reprogram them so they're not damaging your body. Because any technique in the martial arts, they've been around for thousands of years. They wouldn't be around that long if those techniques damage your body. So if you've got problems with your back or something, and then you're throwing techniques and it's hurting your back more, likely it's your technique, okay? It's your form. So that'll get you to look at it. So hopefully that gives you some ideas to go on, okay? But otherwise, do the damage control routine. And obviously I got my bulletproof back program because I've run into that so much for myself personally and with clients. I put that together to help people with their back pain and to prevent it so that you can take part and participate in sports and activities not just for everyday life. It's for people who are active and competitive. Okay, so that's bulletproofback.com. Now, let's go to number 3. I've read that using an elliptical machine for cardio hinders flexibility due to not using full range of motion. Do you agree with that? This is from James Theros from the US of A. So yes, I agree with that. Anytime you do a movement, an activity, an exercise that is a shortened range of motion over and over and over, and this is saying that you're not doing anything to compensate for it, yes, it will limit your range of motion. Case in point, look at marathon runners, especially the recreational marathon runner, the person who doesn't really know much about holistic and overall conditioning and performance. These people, they're the tightest people you'll ever meet. I used to work at a space where my gym was. It was connected to like a footwear store that was big on running. Okay, I guess it's a running store. And these people, the recreational runners, they're the absolute worst because they're running and that's all they do. They don't do anything else. They don't stretch. They don't do any strengthening exercise, no resistance training, and they're tight as hell. Okay. But whenever you're doing a limited range of motion, your body is thinking, okay, I want to make this range of motion or this activity as efficient as possible. So if you don't need extra range of motion, you're gonna lose that. Your body's gonna be like, oh, I don't need this, I'm not using it. I'm running 30K a day and this is the only range of motion I use, so I'm just gonna focus on this range of motion. Okay, so anytime you're doing running, elliptical, cycling, cyclists have the worst hip flexors because they're always bent over, riding the bike, okay? Hip flexors tighten up because they don't need to extend. They're never extending in their activity and they're doing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pedals on the bike. So obviously what you have to do for that is compensate and work through full range of motion. Elliptical is much like running. Obviously, the best exercise, well, it might not be obvious to you, it's obvious to me, is the lunge. So lunging back, look at that, hip extension, you're getting hip flexion here, and this is, for most people and most athletes, the range of motion, all the range of motion you'll need to perform at your sport. Athletes like kickboxers, martial artists, mixed martial artists, karate, obviously you need a little more range of motion to throw those big high kicks, but for the most sports, just this lunge range of motion is all you need. And you can add the reach to increase that even more. You can check out my other video, the 2-minute sequence for people who sit too much. If you're sitting a lot, to restore that range of motion. But the lunge exercise is the absolute best to make sure the hips are okay if you're doing things like running, elliptical, cycling, any of that stuff. All right, so there's number 3, James. I hope that satisfies your question. Let's go to number 4. I've got 2 more left. I want to lose fat, so I'm doing a lot of circuit training in some of your cage cardio circuits, but I don't want to get weak while I'm doing it. What do you recommend? This is from Mike in Canada, Mike M in Canada. Okay, so I always recommend strength training, no matter what you're doing. I did a little experiment with just cage cardio workouts for 30 days, and guys got, a lot of great results in terms of the physique and the fat loss department, but your strength is going to go down if you're not lifting heavy weights, okay? If your main goal is fat loss, I recommend 2 days a week of strength training. Just focus on the big lifts. You can do 3 exercises each day. Focus on big lifts like squat, deadlift, chin up, bench press, overhead press, 1-arm row. There's a workout right there. And you could do that, do some heavy weights, 3 exercises each workout. You're going to build strength with that actually if you do it right, and you're going to be able to lose fat. Now, one thing that a lot of people do is they'll do circuit training on and on and on and on without ever taking a break. Definitely take a break. You've got to give those energy systems, those muscles, and your nervous system a break once in a while so that it doesn't hit a plateau and just get stuck there, okay? Because you're going to need to be able to push hard to continually lose fat and carve out the physique that you want. So that's what I recommend, Mike. Hopefully that is helpful to you. Finally, 5th question, can I add the new cage cardio workouts to the ultimate MMA strength and conditioning workout? And this is from Derek. Short answer is yes, you can. And it's outlined, I believe, in the manual how to pair up the specific phase of strength training with the cage cardio, the specific style of cage cardio workout. But off the top of my head, I'll just throw it at you. When you're doing base conditioning phase, that's when you want to do the aerobic plus lactic workouts. When you move to the strength phase, that's when you want to work the A plus A or aerobic plus alactic workouts. And when you go into the power and the tapering phases, that's when you want to work the energy system complexes. Okay, so those are the cage cardio classifications that you want to do with each specific phase of the Ultimate MMA Strength and Conditioning program for optimal results. That way, the energy systems in the body, all the workouts you do are going to work together towards a common goal. They're not going to fight each other. Okay, so there you go, Derek. And speaking of which, hold on a sec, let me just pull this out. It's Friday, and this guy, Cage Cardio Bodyweight Fight Deck, this is on sale right now, but goes off sale tomorrow. Okay, so you want to check that out, hit up the links down below. There's different links for Americans and different links for international and Canadian customers. So get this on sale. It's awesome. I use it to create workouts all the time for myself, for my athletes, even if I don't feel like thinking too much, just deal out cards or just follow one of the workout structures, and you'll get an effective science-based body weight workout that's going to improve your conditioning for combat sports or just general fitness. All right, so that's that. Check it out, grab it. Awesome product. You'll like it, I guarantee it. Okay, that's it for today. Q&A is over. If you got a question for me, hit up ericwongmma.com/ask. Otherwise, talk to you next time. Peace.